G'day Internet, welcome back to another video. Now, for those of you who have been watching the channel for a while, you've probably already picked up on the fact that ever since getting my Atari 800 XL a few years ago, the Atari 8-bit line has become one of my favourites. I would almost go as far as to say, of all the computers that I've discovered over the last 5 or 6 years, the Atari 8-bit line might just be my favourite. Now, the 800 XL has been on the channel a couple of times. We've put a Sophia DVI in it and a few other bits and bobs, and it is truly a great machine. But ever since discovering the Atari 8-bit line, it added a new Grail machine to my list. And following a Facebook ad locally here in Canberra, by the way, which is kind of unusual, I have managed to get my hands on that Grail machine. Introducing the original Atari 800 boxed. Now, it doesn't have all the foamies and stuff in it, but it's a boxed Atari 800. I'm not going to say how much I paid for it. It was not cheap, but look at it. It's awesome. But that's not all I picked up when I went to grab this. There was also this box of things and the tablet. This isn't a bad haul, if I do say so myself. So let's dig into what I've actually managed to pick up. So in the tall box of things, we have an original boxed Atari 2600 joystick. Is it in there? Yeah, it's in there. Woo! It's actually in really good condition. Like, all the original markings and everything are on there. I don't think this has barely been used. Now, I generally don't like these joysticks, but let's see what a good one is actually like. We also have a Spectra Video Quick Shot for various computers, it says. And in here, it's even got its original packing inside. Oh, there is a manual squished at the bottom. These joysticks are generally quite terrible. And even though this one seems to be in quite good condition, I don't think that's going to change. We have the tape recorder, the original, the 410. And in here, there's a cassette with nothing written on it. Oh no, side B, guess random and calculate carpet? Right, okay. So that all looks quite nice and neat and complete inside, so that's nice to have. What else have we got in here? We've got an empty box for a basic cartridge. For the Atari 400 and 800, it's kind of nice to have that in the box. Well, the box for one at least. I think I've got a cartridge somewhere. We have what seems to be a homemade power supply. This is quite hefty. And it's got 2 outlets for 9-volt AC, 2 amp for CPU and interface. 9-volt AC, 3.4 amps for disk drives. Now, I don't think there's a disk drive in here, because there's not enough room left in the box. Not sure if I'm going to use this, but there it is. Right, I'm guessing whoever bought this computer did actually have a disk drive for it originally. It's obviously gone separate from the machine, because there is the Master Diskette 2 box, at least. Is there anything inside it? No, it's an empty box. Okay, and a little crushed, but that's okay. We've got a box for a 16K memory upgrade, so hopefully the machine has had some upgrades. There's not much in there. Oh, the original pamphlet. And last but not least, we have the Atari home computer. This looks like a bit of a brochure. And another little, these are a couple of brochures. A book for sign file or SIN file, the ultimate filing system. It sounds like some kind of databasey kind of program. We've got the Atari Basic book for the 400 and the 800. Oh, there's a bit of paper in there. What's that? These little things always make me curious. Some kids drawing. It's kind of cute. A couple of Usborne books, programming, computer programming basic for beginners and practice your basic. The address book creator for DOS. Yeah, that's actually a like a PC program. We don't want that. We don't care. A random disk. It's got "don't know" written on it. That's kind of cute. And another 16K memory module. And that's it for that box. There's some useful stuff in here, no doubt about it. We have the Atari Touch tablet with Atari Artist software. Looking at this, this looks quite mint. What do we got? Okay. That looks like the catalogue for basically a mixed disc of games. Okay. Right. I'm guessing some kind of warranty registration. The manual for the Atari Touch tablet, the owner's guide. Okay. I'll have to have a look through that later on. We have a copy of Atari Connection, Volume 2, Number 4, from winter 1982. So that would have predated the XLs coming out. Kind of cool. We've got a receipt for a box of 5 1/4 inch discs from Singapore. Looks like another list of random games, and the main attraction, the Atari Touch tablet. And this looks, well, I hate to say it, but mint. It's got its little stylus, and the cable that plugs into the joystick port all seems to be there. Looking forward to checking that out. Right, less messing around with the entree and time to get to the main course, the actual Atari 800. So if I open this up, and I have had a bit of a peek inside, what do we got? Well, we've got a bit of metal. I think I know what that is. We've got a pile of literature, and still in its foam pieces, oh, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it, we have the 800 itself. Box is actually in remarkably good condition, especially A, that it's like, 40 years old, and B, compared to my 800 XL box. Okay. Foam off. Where's the opening to this bag? There we go. And voila, one 800 XL. And at first glance, it's in remarkably good shape. It's a little grubby. Give it a wipe down with some Windex, but cosmetically, it looks fantastic. If we open this up, and that's exactly what I thought, this metal piece is actually missing. I believe it lives up here somewhere, like that. And, oh, there's our basic cartridge. Now what I'm going to do is let's remove the entire top cover and see what it's packing inside. I've only ever done this once before on another machine, and I don't like doing this with brittle plastics because it seems to be held down, and I don't know how, because this has got the original clips at the front, but I should consult the manual. Next, rotate the two clamps outward as far as they will go. See illustration. Lift up the front edge of the cover slightly. Hinge door and rib top cover towards you. How's that meant to work? Towards me? Lift up and forward. Ah, right. So you lift it up and then forward, and it comes off. I'm glad I read the manual, because I probably would have broken 40-year-old plastic. And it's very nice to find what can only be considered a fully loaded 800. We've got 48K of RAM in the 316K memory modules and the normal 10K ROM card here. And they're all in their normal little kind of plastic containers, because I've seen a lot, and I don't know where they're from, because I don't know that much about it. This is cold. Oh, okay, so this cover here is actually metal. The rest is plastic. But yeah, if someone can explain to me why I do see 800s with just bare PCBs versus the one in the cartridge cases, I'd really like to know. But that is very cool to see. Right, like I said, I'm not going to use that ancient old power supply that I found in the box. Instead, I'm going to use, which is actually a Super Nintendo power supply. It has the right voltage. It's maybe a little down on amperage, but it should be okay for this particular test because we've got no peripherals or anything hanging off it. I've got it plugged into RF. Let's see what happens. Well, we've got a cursor. Image quality is terrible. The basic cartridge is in there. It should have booted to basic. Right. It's not completely dead, at least. Getting something, but not much. I'll get some contact cleaner down in the cartridge slot and give the edge of this a bit of a clean. Right, bit of deoxit in the cartridge slot and ready. Nice. It seems to work. I should actually point out I bought this untested. So yeah, it's quite the relief. But RF is terrible. So I've spent some time making up some cables. First is a composite cable. So let's see how we go with this and if it's any better. I hope it is. Possibly should have made that cable a little longer, but here we go. Yes, composite is working and a million times better than RF. Now, I did actually try and make an S-video cable for this, but even though I triple checked the pinout and all the rest of it, I could not get it to work on either this television or even through my RetroTink, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. But I did also make up a Chroma Luma cable, so a bit like a Commodore 64 cable, because the Atari 800 was the first computer to have separate Chroma and Luma, as far as I'm aware. So I'm going to change monitors and we're going to give this a go. Now, this is actually a monitor that I picked up probably 6 months ago because I was specifically after a kind of generic color composite monitor. But what I ended up picking up was this. This is a General brand, which I believe is actually made by Hitachi. And it actually does take a separate Chroma Luma, much like a Commodore 1701 or 1702, which means it's perfect for the Atari. So let's see how we go. Perfect, and it is super crisp. Apologies for the frame roll. This is as good as I can get my camera to capture a CRT, but it works fantastic, and hopefully you can see from there that it looks amazing on this monitor. Now, at this point, I was going to show you loading some software off this, but it turns out that this actually takes a 6-volt DC power supply, which is missing. So I don't think I can use it without that, because I'm pretty sure, whoops. I'm pretty sure I need that to get this to work. Although that does provide power. It doesn't work. But that's okay, because I do have my awesome S-Drive Max. Now, quick side note, and I may have mentioned this in my 400 video, the 800 and the 400 doesn't supply quite enough voltage or something to run this direct. If you've got one of these, there's a little jumper internally that you can switch it from basically being bus powered to externally powered, and you need to set that to external. And if I simply plug this in, it boots up, and I can select the S-Drive start disk, and I should be able to just plug this in and boot the 800. It's making the right disk drive reading noises. And there we go, the S-Drive Max boots. Now, what I should really do is find the disk image for the Atari Artist software and have a go at that tablet. Right, in the bottom of the box with the tablet was the cartridge for Atari Artist, which is very cool. So let's see if it works. That button isn't happy. And it does. And it also looks like it has instructions. So I'm going to go read them, but also swap back to the LCD so you've actually got half a chance in hell of seeing what I'm trying to do. All right, I think I've kind of got my head around it. You can use either the button on the pen or the button on here. There's 2 buttons on either side. And if I go draw, yeah, and you've got to kind of press hard, and it does work. I'm a child. Now, I have already found that the button on the stylus is actually quite touchy. It's really easy to kind of press or let go when you're not expecting. So I'm finding so far, at least, having my thumb here and that be my go button seems to work. But we can go erase screen, yes. And let's go with, now you got to place the cursor down first. And it is a little bit of a guesswork of like where you've just, you know, touched or were. And we should be able to go fill and bring this up here and go duh. There we go. We've got a sun. Sure. And we've also got, we can change colors. How do I change to 2? 2, right. Go back to draw, go back to the screen, and so just far left as I can go, I think it is. And if we want to put like a hillside in there. Now I have a funny feeling if I fill this, it's going to fill the whole lot, but fill. Nope. Nice. And I now should be able to go, let's change our color. So C for color. Let's pick a blue, a nice blue, like there. Right, and this should still be on fill, and I should be able to go, oh, Why did it do that? Why did it change the green? Right. Here's a question. Is there an undo? There is no undo. Okay. Let's go back to... let's change the third colour to green. And see if I can redraw my hill. Right. Go back to you. Fill, back to you, and... Nice. And let's go back to colour 2 and fill in this top corner. Oh, isn't that pretty? Actually, one more thing. Oh no. Oh, now it's really pretty. Now, I have the artistic abilities of most people's small toe, but I'm really happy with this, and I'm sure back in like the early 80s, this would have just been amazing. All right, before we go too much further, let's fix this because it's starting to drive me a little nuts, and I think some double-sided sticky tape will probably do the job quite nicely. All right, it should go in about there. Doesn't fall out, win. Now, before we keep going, there's one thing that should be noted about the Atari 800 is that it only has 48K of RAM. Now, there is a ridiculous number of software titles that will run on this. However, it would seem that a lot of like modern homebrew and stuff seems to be targeted at mostly a minimum memory of 64K like the 800 XL. Unfortunately, what that means is my all-time favourite Atari 8-bit game, Yump, won't run on this, which is a little sad. So, I can give that very nice Atari 2600 joystick a quick go. But look, there is still a ridiculous number of games that will work. Pac-Man, for instance, and this version of Pac-Man for the Atari 8-bit is possibly one of the best home ports, well, era-correct home ports of this game, in my opinion. But I'm pleased to say that when these are actually in tip-top condition, not the worst joystick I've ever used. And things like one of my all-time favourites, Boulder Dash, which looks like it's been drawn in CGA, but that's okay. And I've already screwed myself. Or absolute classics like Star Raiders. I have no idea what I'm doing. Am I meant to hit those? Or Pitfall 2. And there we go, the Atari 800, the original. I probably don't need to tell you that I am super stoked to finally have one of these in my collection. Look, Is it as capable and whatever as compared to my 800 XL? No, it's not. There are limitations to the original one. That's why we have later models. But just look at it, okay? Just the heft, the feel, the keyboard, the lot. I absolutely love this machine. Now, there are some things that I do want to improve. I want to take a look at why I couldn't get proper S-video out of this. I've got an idea of how I can get around that. I do need to pull it apart properly and see what the state of it is like inside. I haven't actually done that other than the top cover. And that will all be coming up in a future video. But for now, I have an Atari 800 and I'm really happy. And it goes great with this monitor that I just inadvertently picked up like 6 months ago. I think I have a nice matching monitor for my Atari. But for now, that will pretty much do it. If you like the video, click like, subscribe, all the usual YouTube-y stuff. As always, a massive shout out to my Patreons who are scrolling up the screen as I speak. And if you'd like to help out the channel, there is a link in the description. But until then, I'll see you in the next one.